happened to the show, right? Yeah, I feel so cheated. Like I was so excited yesterday when we were told we were gonna get like a snowstorm, 4 to 8 inches. Oh, I was super excited. I was even outside last night. Do you know? I think we got maybe an inch or two. Like my feelings is so hurt, y'all. I just want y'all to know that. But hey, great big world out there. Hey, how are y'all doing today? Thank you for spending your Saturday with me. I so appreciate it. Like I just love the love. You know what I'm saying? I love it. I love it. I love it. So you know how I like to kick the show off before I go all the way into the show. You know I like to start with some fun facts, right? So let's kick the fun facts off, right? Um, but before I do that, also I just want to say I know I was, upset and in my feelings about, not having the weather that I want. I hope everyone had an awesome week. No matter what you went through, no matter what you're dealing with or going through, you know, it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay in that space. So, whatever you need to do to get out of that space, let's get out of that space, okay? Let's not stay there too long. So, fun facts today. We are talking about gold. Remember last week we talked about silver, right? So, this week we're going to talk about gold. So, if all the existing gold in the world were pulled into a 5 micron thick wire, that's a thick wire, I looked it up, it could wrap around the world 11.2 million times. Do you know how many times that is? Like, just picture yourself walking around a block. Like, how many times, or could that equate to 11.2 million? Like, somebody that's really, really, really good in math, do that problem for me. That's above my pay grade. Yeah, you lost me with that. But I just thought that was awesome. So, gold is the most ductile metal, right? Meaning it can be stretched into a very long, thin wire without breaking. I didn't know that. Yet, I won't try it on my gold chains. Like, I just won't do it. I won't do it. Just 1 ounce of gold can make a 50 wires. No, can make a wire where it goes to 50 miles. So you mean to tell me this piece of gold could go to 50 miles? Like, wow. Like, the things you can do with gold, right? Like, whoa. Now, while digging into stones, right, to build a house, it was an Australian miner, and his name was George Harrison. He found gold near Johannesburg in 1886, beginning the South African gold rush. That was a long time ago. Like, I could just see the fascination on their faces seeing this. Like, what is this? What can we do with this? Like, I can just imagine the minds and thinking of where we can go with this, the possibilities of this. Like, oh, it is amazing. So, the largest ever true gold nugget weighed 2,316 troy ounces, which was found in Australia in 1869. That nugget was called Welcome Stranger. Like, I was like, wow, you can name a nugget? Like, oh, a gold nugget? Ah! Okay. So, the atomic number for gold is 79. And right, and that also means that there are 79 protons in the nucleus of the atom that makes the gold. I'm going to just say 79 is a good year, period, because it's just 79, right? Like, yeah, right. Okay. Now, the U.S. Treasury holds the actual official gold reserves, not the Federal Reserve. I did not know that. I looked it up and I tried to call the Federal Reserve thinking I was going to get through instantaneous. No, it didn't work like that. I was reverted to online, submit a ticket, write this and write that. I'm going to actually go back and do it. But after some research, like it's not the Federal Reserve that holds the gold, it is the gold reserve. I was amazed by that. Now, the the U.S. depository at Fort Knox holds 147.3 million ounces, which is about 4,600 tons of gold. That's a lot of gold. Like, I could just see myself standing in it. Like, and when I saw that, I automatically thought about who remember Coming to America when they had on all that gold. Like, can you just imagine them there being in all that gold, like right there, or even who remembers the Golden Child? Like, I just thought of so many things with that. So that concludes our fun facts for today. Yay! Hey, Vanita. Yeah, that's my sister. I say that every Saturday, don't I? And I'm gonna keep saying it because that's my sister, and I love my sister, and I love the support. And to anybody out there who has sisters, love on your sisters, man. I promise you, they will work your nerves. But the good thing about it is, guess what? You can work theirs too. So it's like an even trade, right? Who doesn't love that? Like, I love bothering her. My day don't go right if I don't. Duh. Okay, so my birthday wishes. I know we're still in January. I know we still got some January birthdays still celebrating. Again, please celebrate in decency and in order. Please have fun and enjoy yourself. Remember, if you have some birthday cake, hi, I would love to share your birthday cake with you. But no, have fun all January birthdays. Now, got a couple updates for you. I know I've been updating you all month, but as you see, January is over with. We're about to be in February, so time waits on no one. So it seemed like I started talking about it yesterday, but it's been 30 days, and as you see, time is still coming and coming and coming. So the fourth quarter reports that are due actually today, but it's on a Saturday, they're due on Monday, which is the 940s and the 941s. Please get those submitted electronically or make sure they are postmarked by the 2nd so you don't incur any interest or penalties. That's those 941s, 940s, and 944s. If you haven't already yet received your W-2 or your 1099, there is a possibility it is still in transit. Also, keep in mind the entities have until Monday to have them post dated and in the mail. A lot of companies also will ask you, do you want to opt out of having a paper document where they can just send it to you electronically? Some companies offer both. Some it's one or the other. So you want to make sure you go back and check your online portal for that. Now, those estimated tax payments for the fourth quarter of 2025, those are still there. And if you have not made those payments, guess what? You still can make those payments. Would there be a late fee attached to that? Probably. So log into your IRS account, make sure you're set up for your estimated tax payments and pay that bill. Now, I know everyone is so excited. If you were in before Monday, which was the 26th, you were in that first batch that went out electronically with the Internal Revenue Service. So yes, they did open up on the 26th and they did start accepting tax returns on the 26th. If you have not done so already, you know I'm about to say it, create that IRS ID Me account, bookmark it also so you can be able to go in there and see all of your history. Also set up that My Tax Illinois account. It's so important. Now that time is coming. We have so many updates coming out. We have so many changes and so many amendments that's happening to the things that's going on when it comes to the bill that was passed, we want to make sure we get on the calendars with our accountants and our tax preparers. We don't want to wait till the last minute, because I'm going to tell you now, your tax preparers that were very, very lenient with you, we're now going to say, if you don't have your documents in by a certain time, you're going out on an extension, because we don't want your documents messed up, nor do we want it rushed. We also don't want you to rush those documents, because it's your information. So we want to take our time with that. So book your appointments, get on the calendars, even if you don't have all of your documents. Also, last but not least, I like to thank everybody for spending a Saturday with me again, whether you're live or you're coming back. However you're spending your time with me, I so appreciate it. Please like, love, share, and comment. Also, if you have not subscribed to that YouTube channel, please go ahead and subscribe to that YouTube channel. Got some good information on there. And guess what? If you miss it here, you can always go to the YouTube channel and you can watch it. Another thing about the YouTube channel is that, say it's a part you don't want to hear, you could fast forward and just go to the parts you want to hear. So, hey, welcome back to Let's Talk Finance. Hey, I love it. I love it. And guess what? If it is your first time joining Let's Talk Finance podcast, welcome to the family. We are all family here. We love each other. We love learning, right? So here on Let's Talk Finance, we break down finances with clarity, right? We give examples. I specifically talk about me, and I talk about what's going on. I don't sugarcoat it. I want you to know the truth. I want you to be empowered. With that, I want you to understand your numbers. I don't want you to just listen to somebody and just hear numbers. No, I want you to have a great foundation of what's going on with you. I want you to know about stewardship, responsibility, and I also want you to build something that lasts. So how do you do that? You start with consistency, and you keep building it up, and you keep building it up. And then guess what? That consistency turns into a lifestyle. It turns into your daily routine. So when you know better, you do better. So that's why we're here on Let's Talk Finance podcast. Before I go any further, I want to say shout out to, again, my sister. And hey, Mr. C. Mr. C is watching. Y'all love Mr. C. Excellent guy in Bible class. And I started calling him Mr. C, and everybody else started calling him Mr. C. And y'all know I'm territorial. I don't like the chef. So I was like, forget it. And I was pouting. I'm not going to call him Mr. C. So I'm going to call him Mr. G. And nobody calls him Mr. G. I love it. So, hey, Mr. G, thank you for tuning in. So today's conversation is titled Payroll Employee Readiness. Isn't that a good topic for today, since we're talking about W-2s and 1099s? Now, with that, you want to build trust and structure in the business with that. Whether you're a sole proprietor, whether you're a big box company, whether you're a small business, whether you're just starting out and you're learning, you need to have that payroll readiness structure. Because when somebody come and sit down with you, yes, they love the work. Yes, they love their passion. But guess what? They're going to want to know about the money. That's what's going to secure the deal. Period. It's going to secure it. So this is a time, and it's necessary for us to talk about this and be prepared for this. Keep in mind that payroll isn't just about your official checks, right? And I used to think that before I started processing payroll. Oh, it's just a check. It is so much more before you get that check. So much more that goes on behind the scenes that you're not aware of. You have compliance issues. You have communications. You have workplace issues and concerns. At the beginning, when I did the updates, I said those 941s, documents have to match. You have to balance to the T. So before you get your check, it has to be a structure and a foundation before it even hits you. So that's why today's conversation is so great. And going into our conversation, we're going to be talking about the payroll basics. And I know you say, well, I know how to read my check stub. I know my base pay. I know what's going on. Great. I applaud you for that. But we're going to talk about that, but we're also going to go deeper into that because we need to know the foundation. It's so important for us to know the foundation, which is starting with your gross pay. How many people have already gotten their W 2s and it says you made $85,000 and you sit and look and be like, $85,000? Well, where did it go? I didn't see that. That's why this conversation is important. How many people have looked at their check stub and it said the gross pay is $2,000, but your net pay is almost 800? That's a big jump, right? That's why this conversation is very, very important. So when we talk about gross pay is your total earnings before any deductions and withholdings. So that's the amount you're going to get paid. So if you're weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, or monthly pay, let's just say $1,000, that is your gross pay before any deductions, whether it's healthcare, whether it's 401k, whether it's insurance, your Social Security, your Medicare, your state, federal. That is your gross pay. That's before any of those deductions and withholdings that I just called out to you. Now, your net pay is going to be what you're going to actually take home. That's what your net pay is going to be. So we can start at the top again, and let's just say that figure is $1,000. Now, once we start deducting and making all our withholdings, then that gross pay is going to now be decreased. So that's the amount that you're going to actually take home. So it's important to understand what your gross pay is versus what your net pay is. Excuse me. Now, you want to also, and this is even with us that's going to work, a 9 to 5, a 10 to 6, a 12 to 8. You want to always try to prevent payroll employee confusion, especially now with some of the laws that have changed and some of the updates that are coming out. There's a lot of information that filers do not know, and they don't know it because the payroll companies, they don't teach it, they don't train it. When you get hired, they remove that out of the hiring process where they sit you down and they answer all your questions. It used to be a day process that one day was dedicated toward helping that team fill out all of their documents. Guess what? They no longer do that. Everything is remote, and they don't train you how to fill out your documents. They expect you to know that. Well, guess what? There's been so many changes. The other day I made a post. If you're receiving a W-2, make sure you pull down the updated W-4, which is for 2026, so you can update your employer. If your withholdings are not looking right, you need to fill out a new W-4. Start now, since we're still in the first quarter, the beginning of the year. We can catch some things. If you're unclear of how to fill it out, make sure you get with your accountant or your preparer. Again, a lot of companies no longer offer that resource. Now, payroll also needs to be accurate, right? Which means a lot of times we depend on the software that's provided. But what I like to tell other individuals, keep up with your hours, because a system can crash anytime. Something can always happen, and you need to go back and look and revert. So make sure you have an account of your money. It's yours. You know what I'm saying? Period. Now, let's talk about your payroll frequency. And I named it earlier, which would be weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, or monthly, right? Now, the importance of having a consistent pay date is very, very important. if you're going to run a payroll, because you don't want to have to continuously move pay dates, remove when the payroll starts, remove when it ends, remove the actual pay date. You need to be, as a payroll department head or supervisor, you need to have it already set in stone if your company is going to be issuing weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, or monthly pay. Daily pay still happens, but I know that that happens when you're doing day labor. I don't know of many companies that offer you daily pay. Now, some companies usually refrain from using Thursdays and Fridays as a pay date because they don't expect people to come to work if they have to work on a Saturday, or if they have to work on a Friday, it's gonna be, oh, I'm running late or I can't make it. So some companies refrain from using those dates and they use other dates like Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. It's gonna be solely at your discretion how you want to pay your employees. And remember, with you being consistent with your employees, that's going to build trust and predictability. And that's what you want. Remember, your payroll frequency has to be regulated also by the state law. Now, I know a lot of times when we're looking to hire somebody, we use a lot of apps, and I'm not against that, but I think we've taken away that personal connection when you're trying to hire someone for your company. Remember that your company is your child. Your company you want to live on, and you have to treat your company like it's your child. So when you're interviewing, there are certain things that you want to look for in an employee. And depending on the field that you're working in, you may want to run and do certain tests. Now, first things first, when you're hiring somebody, and I'm a really big advocate on that. And that's why we offer these trainings to small businesses. We will come in and set up training for you when it comes to payroll and frequency and how to get it on board and regulated by the state. We also show you how to fill out your documents. We answer your questions. We make sure you're aware, because as me being a tax preparer, I know what to look for at the end of the year. I know what's going to happen. So therefore, I want to inform you. So if I help you, you're going to help your tax preparer or your accountant. So what do I mean by that? You have to have your completed W-4s and I-9 forms, because they're going to want to verify who you are. Verification process is going to be so important. They're not going to let that go. You have to make sure you have 2 forms of identification. That is important, even if you are working remotely. A lot of companies have moved from sending out payroll checks. A lot of companies are now doing direct deposit. Some companies are even looking into Zelle just so they can cut the price of printing paper and ink. So they set up direct deposits. Make sure you check the information, because you don't want your money sitting in cyberspace. This is what happens in that training class that was removed once you got hired. Also, companies will provide you with the employee policy and handbook. People, I can't stress this enough. It is so very, very, very important to read those handbooks. There's a lot of things that you will miss. Trust me, there's things that I have missed, but there's also things that I have learned along the way when it comes to those policies and handbooks that made me deter from how I wanted to operate. Period. Again, your company is a representation of you. You have to make sure you are doing everything by the book. You can also have fun with it, long as you do it by the book. I promise you, we have fun at Anointed Accounting. Now, you want to assign um, tools and access, which means you may have a front end. So that may be your client support. They may need to have an email directly for them. Of course, whatever supervisory team that you have, they would need to have their email. You have to have security measures in place. You have to. And it has to be a chain of command. With that, you also have to have scheduling, orientation, and training. Just because someone says they know how to do it, that may not be the way you want it done. And it's a totally different process. Sometimes it's not about being right or wrong. Sometimes it's about perspective, how that person perceives it. And once we get that foundation, we'll be okay. And I think it's lacking so much because it has been removed from the training processes. But I come to tell you, Anointed Accounting is getting out there. We want to help these small businesses get back on track, because if you mess up somebody's payroll, trust me, your work gonna be messed up. If they're gonna go to work and not gonna get paid, your stuff is not going to get done either. So you want to be mindful and also respectful of what it is that you're doing. Now, you want to include team members and have a company culture. Like, your team members are important. Those meetings are important. And even with me doing this live podcast, the feedback that I get from my listeners, that helps me. And a lot of times our clients and our listeners find out information before we do. And you all educate us in a way, because now we go out there and do the research. And 80% of the time you come back and tell us that because you don't want to do the research. And that's fine, because that's not in your field. I get it. I get it. You tell me to go to the store and get some paint, you're going to be mad, because I'm going to just go get some paint. Whether you paint on the wall, the floor, or cardboard, I'm going to get some paint. And it's going to be purple. That's not what you wanted. So I get it. It's the same thing. So we have to be mindful of that. We also got to make sure our company culture matches. We have to vibe with everyone. You may not be friends with everyone, but you have to respect the establishment. You have to respect the process. You have to respect what goes on in the business. Because if you don't, that's going to bring chaos. And that's not going to help you succeed nor grow. So that company culture also plays a role that comes with peace in your business. Now, your benefits packages, they may have PTO, they may have compliance requirements, they may have information about family medical leave of absence. You want to go through that. You want to see what is covered and what is not covered. What are your do's and don'ts? It's okay to sit and watch everybody else, but remember, everybody else has their own footprints. You're creating your footprints. So you don't know if theirs is good or bad or indifferent. You want to be different in all aspects. Now, mandatory payroll deductions. This is why I want everyone to look at their paycheck stubs. A lot of people have conformed to, well, I get direct deposit, I already know what it's going to be. No, get out of that habit, because that's why we don't know where our money is going. What if there was an error? We shouldn't have to wait until our paychecks are short for us to bring up concerns. Look at your paycheck, even when it comes to your filing status, your exemptions, your withholdings. Look at that. Ask questions. Revert back to your W-4. Then bring those questions to your accountant and your preparer. Water break. No, thank you. Now, mandatory deductions. You got federal income tax. And I know a lot of people don't like that, but you have to pay the federal if you're on the W-2. If you're a 1099 worker, you're already putting up between 27 to 34% of your gross wages, not your take-home pay, but yeah, that is your take-home pay because there is no withholding. So you're going to be putting that up because that's the federal, that's the state, that's Social Security, that's Medicare. So you're already going to be putting up that money because nobody is matching your Social Security and Medicare. Your state taxes and your local taxes, if applicable, are also going to come out. So it's best that you look at your check stub. Again, it is okay to be nosy about you. Check to see what's going on with your finances. Don't always wait until it's time to file your taxes for you to have a question. My question would be to you, why didn't you find this earlier? Did you look at your check stub, and why not if you say no? You can't always put the accountability and the blame on the payroll or HR department. At some point, we as the employees need to take accountability and have responsibility, especially when it comes to our money that we are going to work for every day. We're at work more than we're at home. We're at work more than we're with our family, our friends, and our spouses. So if we're spending all this time away from home, we can't take time to look at our check stub. We only want to wait till we file taxes. Absolutely not. That is unacceptable. Get with your accountant or your preparer. I'm telling you, we value these conversations. Speaking of that, I have a special guest on here, Pendleton Quick Tax. Give it up for Pendleton Quick Tax. Got another account online. Miss K, you're online and you're listening. Please give me some of your feedback regarding how important it is for our clients to take accountability throughout the year when it comes to their payroll. It is so very important. People, we want you to get your money. So sometimes if you don't see your money throughout the year, I can almost guarantee you it has something to do with your W-4, or you took the initiative to go exempt, which means you knew what you were doing. So we have to get better. Now, when it comes to other deductions that's on your check stub, you have health care, you have retirement contributions. God forbid if there's a garnishment or if there's alimony or child support. Those are additional deductions that can come out. Some companies offer parking or travel, and you can pay out of your check. That also comes out of your check. So please be mindful of the deductions that's coming out of your check. Remember, all of these little deductions add up. Not only do they add up, each deduction decreases that gross pay. So we got to be mindful of what the net pay is. I tell a lot of my customers, don't always look at your base pay. You take your net pay and you times that by 26, and that's the amount of money that you work off of. You don't work off what your base pay is. That's why it's important to sit down and start planning financially with what you want to do, how you want to see your money, how you want to invest. What is it that you're looking to gain? Do you have a return on investment? Do you have investment property? What is it that you're trying to do to get residual income? That is very important. So, a lot of times when you sit with people, they ask you, well, what is your take home pay? Well, how much do you make? All of those questions are relevant. And then they're going to ask you not only for financial statements that, of course, they may have a template for you to fill out, but you may or may not also contact your accountant or preparer. You may just go on YouTube and figure out how to do it. That's not a bad way to do it. Whatever is most comfortable and conducive for you. However, it is so important that you know where your money is coming and going. It's so very important. I'm going to stop right here and acknowledge some of my guests that's on here. Oh my God, I got a really special guest online. Hey, I got a guest all the way from the Philippines, baby. Ooh, cha. Cha Cha Cha. That's her name. I call her that. Yeah, I love her. She is so sweet. If anybody's name on here that I did not call, I so apologize. I cannot see it. I'm looking and I cannot see it. Do know that I love you. I appreciate you for spending time with me on your Saturday. Thank you so, so much. Again, whether you're tuning in live or whether you're listening later, I so appreciate this. But we're here spreading the word. While you're on here, hit that share button. Please hit that share button. You never know who you can reach. You never know who needs this financial literacy and information. So I appreciate everyone that's on here. If you have any questions, comments, feedbacks, put it in the comments. Again, we address all these issues. We'll never find a means to anything if we just sit and hold it in or assume. If we want to see something done, we got to put the work in it to get it done. And guess where it starts? Something just like we're doing now. We're coming together. And if we can gossip, if we could spread just information that's not important, that others think that is not important, we can spread this information and help with our finances. Because who don't want to retire tomorrow and be okay? That part. So with that, let's talk about before month's end. That is so very crucial, especially when you're dealing with your payroll and financial department. Of course, you have to have financial accuracy. That is so important, which means that's going to be labor costs, because you want someone in there that know what they're doing. You want someone in there that knows the software, that's software savvy, and that's also, like me, pen and paper, that can break it down where it makes sense. Now, you also want to make sure you're withholding the correct tax. You want to make sure that you're making the right deposits. I can recall the time I was working and somebody was doing payroll, made a mistake, and deposited $1,500 extra dollars in my account. Well, because that didn't sit well with me, I went back and said, something is wrong. I didn't make this money. So we can make errors like that. So again, watch your money, whether it's the same thing or not, watch it down to the cents. Because believe me, those cents add up. Whatever cents it is, times that by how many pay periods you get, and then times that by that whole year, you'll see how much that cents added up to. I don't care if it added up to $2.45. That's $2.45 more you could have had in your pocket. So we have to be more diligent about that. We got to be ready for audits. We got to know what's coming to us. We got to have our paperwork in order. Look at your paperwork as your ammunition. Look at that as proof. Like, I got my proof and my documents right here. You cannot deny facts. That's why we have to be audit ready. We have to have early error detection. How do we have early error detection? By sitting down, following our processes that we have in play, by having those team meetings, by going over those records. What did I say 2 weeks ago? Track and review. Track everything, review everything, know what's coming in, know what's going out, have everything balanced to the penny. Because again, if it's off, all of your books are going to be off. You also want to have fraud prevention. What protocols do you have in play for fraud prevention? That's important. That's needed. Because you don't want nobody come in and take your whole company from under your feet. You don't want nobody out there putting your name and putting your company's name and making it look like, ooh, I don't want to do business with that company. It is so quick to spread bad news, but it takes so long to spread good news. So no, let's be prepared. Let's be prepared. We also have to talk about employees and how it impacts the business, because the business is the foundation. The employees, along with the products and the services that are provided, is the business. And I think that's where there's a lot of disconnect at. That's just the foundation. The employees the protocols, what's going on, the services and the products. That is the business. If all your employees walked out today, what would you do? With that, you have to make sure everything is accurate, meaning you pay people on time. Don't play with nobody money. I've learned over the years, you don't play with people mother, you don't play with people money, you don't play with people man, you don't play with people kids. Period. You stay in your lane, you gonna be okay. I ain't never heard nobody say play with my Brussels sprouts and it's gonna be on. Well, you play with any of my cake or my candy, it's gonna be a fight. I will fight you over some dessert. But okay, now also, what protects the company reputation? I just said that you want to have a good reputation. Your name and your work has to speak value. It has to stand behind you. It has to mean worth. And believe you me, if I'm talking to someone and I trust that person and they tell me something about this particular person or company, that's where I'm going because I trust what this person has said to me. So your reputation is everything. Okay, that's important. Now, you also, and I know this is costly, and I know you may not have it right now, but that's why you need to invest in it. Improve your operational efficiency, which means your month-end reporting. If you have to hire someone to come in, if you have to get software, keep in mind, whatever software you get, you still need the person to enter it in. You have to. I know this new thing with AI has came out and a lot of people are relying on AI, but in order for AI to work right, the individual has to program AI to work. No, get out there and do it yourself. Hire somebody that knows what they're doing, that knows the foundation, that has the financial literacy, that continues to research. You have to be able to spend that money. Now, you want financial accuracy. What does that mean? You want to be in tax compliance. You want to be audit ready. So if any federal or state entity came to your business or establishment, you're ready. You're document ready to the T. They love you for that. That error detection. It ain't going to be no errors because you've prevented that. You've prevented all of that, okay? You've prevented it. Because you've been doing things every month. You've listened to my shows, you've took my advice, and now you're doing everything that you need to do. And with that brings us to payroll, tax mistakes, and recording. This is where it starts. You see how that foundation starts? When you start with your initial forms, you have to fill it out. It has to go to the payroll department. The payroll department has to enter it into a software or a program. An individual has to work it. You have to punch in and out. You have to double check and make sure your entries are accurate. If they're not, there's a form that needs to be submitted to payroll within a timely manner in order to get you paid on time. So you see why it's important to be ready for all of this and maybe to hire that third party because this may be too much and your company is still growing. Now, what can you do to prevent those tax mistakes? Stop filing your taxes late. File your taxes on time. Meaning, even with an extension, you're on time. But let's say you don't do an extension, you're late. Misclassifying employees as independent contractors. If you control their time, if they have to follow a schedule, they are a W-2 employee. A 1099 individual is on a contract. They're doing a project or they're doing an assignment for a certain amount of time. They come and they go at specific hours that have been set by both the employer and the contractor, depending on the type of work that it is. incorrect tax withholdings and miscalculations. If the information is not on the W-4 accurately, that's going to cause a problem. If the individual entering that information does not go back and check, that's going to cause a problem. Ignoring state and local tax obligations. What is that state's law? What are their regulations? What is it that you're supposed to be doing? How is this supposed to be filled out? These are questions that you as employees need to ask. How does that benefit you? Is there anything that you need to do? When it comes to the payroll department, you need to have those meetings with your staff. And if you don't, you need to call that third party in that could come in and answer those questions. Have pamphlets, have information to pass out, so you have a guide, a roadmap, so you won't come into this. And if you do come into this stumbling block, you know how to fix it. You always have a backup plan because now you have someone to reach out to. It's nothing worse than having an issue and then you have to reach out to someone and that individual is not available. Do you know that hurts more than the issue itself? Now I gotta wait. I can't get it fixed because I can't talk to nobody. Oh my God, that hurts. I've been there. I know. Now, what do you want to do to avoid these common payroll mistakes? How about automating payroll processes? Yes, that's a great one. Yes. Now, I'm full of pen and paper. I love it. So even if you submitted your information on pen and paper, I don't have a problem with it. We just need to make sure and ensure that the entries that have been entered are correct, are accurate. We need to conduct payroll audits, which means we don't need to wait to the end of the year. You can conduct it every 6 to 8 weeks, every 6 to 12 weeks, however you see fit. But that once a year or when you think something is going to appear, then you audit, that's a no-no. Protect your business, protect your company. It is yours. You want to maintain clear policy and communication with your staff, with your vendors, with your team, whomever you're working with. You always want to have that level of communication. I hate working for somebody and they tell me that there's an open door policy, yet the door is always closed. I got a problem with that. Or if I want to talk to you, why do I have to talk to this manager when that's not who I need to talk to? I don't need anyone to convey what I need to tell you. So is it really an open door policy? Yes. So have that communication, have it open so your staff could want to come talk to you. Now, use tax professionals. If this is not your industry, if you are not an expert in this, hire your tax professionals. Please, it's so very important. While you're doing that, your record keeping also has to be at its best. Period. There are certain requirements. I know at the beginning of the show, I mentioned those 944s, 941s, 940s. Guess what? If you're processing payroll, you're processing these reports, which means every payroll, you're printing out a payroll summary. You're adding up all of the federal withholdings, the state withholdings, the Social Security and Medicare tax, and you're timesing that by what the company is matching. If those numbers don't match what's on the quarterly summary report that you have to put on your 941s, now you have to start all over again because it has to balance before you send them documents in. And guess what? The numbers that's balancing now, those are numbers from that first quarter or second quarter or third or fourth quarter. That's going to be implemented on that individual's W-2. Now, somebody know how much money they made. They may fuss and bicker and argue all day long, but when they look at that W-2, they know when something is not right. In order for you to be able to stand up to that payroll department, you need to have your ammunition. Have you cross-referenced your checks? Have you cross-referenced your direct deposits? What have you done? How does your W-4 look? Do those audits on you. Have that ready. Now, when you're going to payroll and it's time for us to file these reports, we have all of our ducks in a row. Our summaries match, our deposits match, our mathematics match. Everything is matching. So now we can submit these forms. When it's time for us to issue W-2s and 1099s, we need to make sure that we're in compliance with the due dates. If your company does it both digitally and paper, great. If it's one or the other, great. But your staff needs to be aware of how their W-2s or 1099s is going to be distributed. You want to make sure that you're using a good tracking system for the hours, because people count their hours, minutes, and seconds. I was one of them. If I was supposed to get off at 5 o'clock and I was there at 5:04, I was writing on my sheet 5:04 and 16 seconds. I want all my time. It's not free. I don't work for you for free. I work for me for free. There's a difference. So you have to have that tracking system in place. Keep employees' files updated. That's important. Now, while you're keeping these forms updated, right? As employers, sometimes we don't pay ourselves. We need to pay ourselves. The money needs to come in, right? And we just don't know how to go about withholding this money because we're not running the payroll. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about owner's draw. Before I go into it, let me tell you what that is. Owner's draw is when a business owner takes money from the company for personal use. Period. That's all it is. Simple. Common. So, mainly people that uses owner draws are proprietorships, partnerships, and LLCs. Your corporations is going to pay you and give you a W-2. Now, if you're acting as compensation without being a form of salary or business expense, that's also an owner's draw. Now, in order for you to report that, you have to have your forms and your files updated. It has to reflect what has been taken out, okay? But your preparer and your accountant will know more about that, okay? That's very, very important. Now, also, when you take money for profits needed, you got to look at the pros and cons. You got to look at what's flexible. You have to look at what's simple. So your cons for your owner's draw is it's no taxes withheld. You're self-employed. However, that's going to also transfer over to you on a 1040. So make sure you know how this is going to affect you. If you're trying to take that out in your LLC, not filing out correctly. Now, let's say you're on a salary, which 80% of the world is, right? A salary is a fixed regular payment an employer pays an employee for their work, just whatever it is. So if you're paid $50 an hour or $75 an hour, that's just that, your annual pay. Now, it's usually expressed as an annual amount paid to individuals, again, like I stipulated earlier, weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, or monthly. Now, when we talk about your hourly wages, that's a set sum amount that's performed for the job. That's not tied into your work hours. Okay? Now, this applies to most of your S Corps and most of your C Corps. Okay? That's very important. And I know I gave y'all a lot of information about payroll. Wait, water break. I know I gave y'all a lot of information about payroll. I wasn't just talking to the small business owners. I was talking to us that's on W-2s, because we want to know where our money is. And time again, we're waiting to have these conversations when we need to have these conversations more sooner than later. It's so important to know where your money is at. It's very important to know where that's at. So I know out of all the information that I gave you all, I have a few takeaways that I want to leave you with. One, payroll just isn't paperwork. It's more behind the scenes. It's way more than just you getting a check. It's a lot. You have to build trust. You have to build structure. You have to be in compliance. You have to have strong payroll systems. You have to have employee confidence. You have to have business credibility. You have to want long-term growth. I'm going to stop right here. If anyone has any questions, comments, please drop them. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Again, I want to acknowledge everybody for spending your Saturday with me. You could have been doing anything or listening to anything, but you chose to be here with your girl. I love that. I love when people love talking about their money. I swear, I love it. It just, woo, makes me smile. So drop your comments or your feedback. Again, if you have not done so, take a moment to share this information because you never know who needs it. You never know who's struggling with their finances, and sometimes they just don't want to tell you. They just don't want to be that open. So share the information. You never know who's going to need this information. It's very important. In closing, I would like to say that payroll and employee readiness are not just operational tasks, right? I used to think that before I got into payroll. It's a reflection of your leadership. It shows your commitment in doing business the right way. It shows you're wanting to be in compliance and consistent. And it shows your stability, and it protects you and your employees and your company. Remember that structure and trust is the foundation of every thriving organization. I'm telling you, as business owners, right, the goal is more than just perfection, it's more than just leadership, it's more than just the title, it's more than just about the money. That's not going to mean anything if your structure is not in order. Make sure your payroll process is in order from day one. Make sure you have set that stone for clarity, confidence. Give yourself and your staff a peace of mind, because if they don't, you're not going to have a piece of a business. Again, thank you all for tuning in to today's show. I so appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. Please share this content. I am on all social media platforms under Anointed Accounting, which is ANOINTED Our direct telephone number is 312-837-7219. Our website is www.anointedaccountng.com. That's us, Anointed Accounting. Yay! If you have not subscribed to that YouTube channel, please go on over and subscribe. It is so much information on there. I did not know I had that much information on there, but it is so much information on there. Valuable information. Thank you for spending your time with me. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your support. Like, that means more to me than anything in the world. I just love it. Thank you. I so appreciate it. Until next time, people, please stay encouraged, stay grateful, and keep walking in purpose. And I'll see you next Saturday. I love y'all. Thank y'all.